Before I get started, I would like to take a moment to recognize that there are members of this committee who are from Eastern Kentucky who may have been affected from the flood. The devastation there is extreme. I had the opportunity to fly to Fleming Neon yesterday with the governor to view the damage. It was just horrible what we saw, but we do want to stress that, as the governor said, we're here for you today and we'll be here for you tomorrow, and we're going to be there for the long haul to get East Kentucky rebuilt after these floods. So I did want to acknowledge that.
Ray, I'm not sure that is the governor with us yet? I think he may not. I see that he's let's make sure we have the governor with us.
He is on, but he is currently muted, it looks like.
Hi. The governor will be here shortly. He is on his way now.
Thank you.
Not a fan of Zoom. I'm sorry, everybody.
You're back. You're okay.
I prefer Teams. That's what I'm used to. So is the governor on here?
He'll be here in just a minute.
Okay. There's the governor. I think he's muted.
I think we have him now.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
There are a lot of people in Frankfurt that wish they could do that to me on any given day. I apologize.
Too much power.
I apologize for being a little bit late, folks. We were on our morning conference call with all the leadership of the Eastern Kentucky area hit incredibly hard by this flooding. The good news today is the last bit of really concerning weather has moved through. So we don't anticipate additional flooding in those areas. At least it can build on top of what we have had. So it's a massive undertaking, but it's pretty special to see how folks from all over Kentucky have come together. So with that, I will stop talking, other than saying thank you all for your service on this committee. Thank you for generating a great conversation, ideas, bringing together people from around the Commonwealth and making them feel heard, and hopefully giving us some of the additional thoughts and information to help us move forward on something so many other states have already moved forward on. So Kerry, Ray, over to you.
Thank you, Governor. And before you got on, I did mention that when I was welcoming the committee members and the public, that there are some members of our advisory team who are from the Eastern Kentucky area who may have been affected or had family and friends that are affected. And I told them that we had made a trip to Neon Fleming yesterday. It was devastating, but we will be there, like you said. We'll be there today, and we'll be there for the rebuilding process, and we're there with you all the way. So with that, I would like to start by announcing, going over our team members. Dr. Amber Can of LaGrange, pharmacist and business owner. Julie Cantwell of Rhineyville, advocate with Kentuckians for medical marijuana. Jennifer Cave of Louisville, member of Stites and Harbison. Eric Crawford of Maysville, he's an advocate. Cookie Cruz of Frankfurt, commissioner of Department of Corrections. Dr. John Farmer of Louisville, OB/GYN, medical director of Solid Ground Counseling and Recovery Addiction Treatment Provider in Louisville, Moorhead, and Hazard. Dr. Jonathan Hatton, Whitesburg, Family Medicine, Mountain Comprehensive Health. Brian Joyner of Jeffersonville, Indiana, certified public health worker in Louisville. Dr. Nick Coons of Lexington, Internal Medicine, Clark Regional Medical Center. Alex Crete of Cincinnati, Ohio, Director of Chase Center on Addiction Law and Policy at Northern Kentucky University. Dr. Linda McLean of Louisville, OBGYN Commonwealth Counseling Center. Andrew Sparks of Kentucky, former Assistant U.S. Attorney. Dee Dee Taylor of Louisville, Chief Executive Officer of 502 Hemp Wellness Center. Julie Wallace of Morganfield, Union County Attorney. And Kristen Wilcox of Beaver Dam, co-founder of Kentucky Moms for Medical Cannabis. So those are our 17 members. And with that, I will turn it over. As you know, we formed this committee in June. You did, and we've toured the state. We've listened to ideas and this was to help advise you on people suffering from chronic pain and different medical conditions. We've held town halls, and so I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Harvey to kind of go over what we've heard from the citizens of the Commonwealth. Secretary.
Thank you, Secretary Perry, and I'll try to condense this, Governor. We want to be respectful of your time. We know that you and your team are dealing with the tragic circumstances in Eastern Kentucky, and I know I speak for all of us when I say thank you for your efforts that are making such a difference there. Your charge to us, I believe, was to go out and listen to the voice of Kentuckians on this important issue, to develop the ideas that are out there in the Commonwealth concerning this issue, whether those ideas and those opinions would be pro or con. And we have done that. As you know, medical cannabis is often utilized as an alternative to highly addictive drugs, and that are usually prescribed to deal with the patient's pain, but can be used for other disorders as well. As you also know, 38 states, including the neighboring states to us, Illinois, Missouri, Ohio, Virginia, and West Virginia, already allow cannabis for medical use under appropriate conditions. Medical cannabis in these states is being used to effectively treat a wide variety of conditions, such as the pain resulting from cancer, ALS, epilepsy, other seizure disorders, Parkinson's disease, Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, and all sorts of chronic pain and post-traumatic stress disorder. So understanding that to be the lay of the land, we did go out in Kentucky and solicit the opinions and heard the voices of many Kentuckians. We held 4 town hall meetings. On July 6th, we were in Pike County. On July 14th, we were in Campbell County. On the 19th of July, we were in Franklin County. And on the 25th of July, we were in Christian County. Kentuckians were encouraged to register for these events, but they were not required to do so. And they were encouraged to provide whatever experience and whatever point of view they had, regardless of what that might be concerning this important issue. We had somewhere around 150 Kentuckians who attended these town halls in person. We had 70 Kentuckians who voiced their opinion on medical cannabis in person. Interestingly, every Kentuckian that showed up in person to voice their own personal views on this issue, they were given a chance to do so, and every one of them expressed a positive opinion and were very supportive of medical cannabis in Kentucky. We did not hear one piece of opposition at any of the town hall meetings. We also set up a website so that Kentuckians who were unable to attend these meetings would have a forum nonetheless to express their opinion. And as of August 4th, we received 3,313 comments. That's quite a response. Of that response, 98.5% supported medical cannabis for Kentuckians. 48 people responded in opposition. I should say, in fairness, that we received an expression of opposition from the Kentucky Narcotics Officers Association, as you know, a well-regarded law enforcement group. During the town halls, we heard from a lot of folks. We heard from pharmacists and physicians, and probably the predominant opinions were expressed from folks who actually deal with these chronic medical conditions, either personally or as a caregiver to parents and oftentimes children. And again, we want to respect your time, but I would like to just summarize a few of the comments that we heard, because I think these are representative of the entire group. We heard from a lady from Marshall County who stated that she suffers from a severe form of migraine headaches, a kind of migraine headache that can cause life-threatening strokes. This lady indicated that she has had multiple treatments with opioids, and she's had every treatment available in the medical world for this condition with very limited success. She actually indicated that a specialist that she sees out of state recommended cannabis to her, that her physician, a specialist, recommended that she try cannabis. Her only other option was to proceed to the next level of opioid treatment, which was fentanyl. And I think we all have had an education in the dangers of fentanyl. She testified that medical cannabis has worked to relieve her symptoms, and that it has worked better than any other treatment that has been prescribed by her physicians. We heard from a business owner in Paducah, and I thought this was particularly.
Hey, Gary,
yes,
was
sir.
she able to secure her medical cannabis from another state?
I believe that she did secure medical cannabis from another state, and we heard from a number of people, Governor, that were able to go to Illinois or go to some other state surrounding us and secure the cannabis legally in that state. And a lot of people
still had concerns that they could be prosecuted here.
They were concerned that once they crossed the border, they had gone from being a patient to being a criminal, to put it bluntly. And I think we would all agree, after hearing from these people, they're not criminals. They're people who are looking for help. We heard from a business owner in Paducah, and this gentleman described himself as a very conservative person, and that came through in his remarks. And he indicated that he's the kind of person, and we heard this from a lot of folks, who thought that he would never have anything to do with cannabis. He had a very dim view of cannabis, but he told us that he suffered a very severe accident and had a debilitating pain as a result of that accident, and that he went for a long, long time and really couldn't function. He spent most of his days in bed. He owned a construction company, and finally one of his workers said, "You need to try cannabis." And he resisted that. But ultimately, when he found relief nowhere else, he did secure cannabis, I suspect from Illinois. And he reported to us that that provided him more relief with fewer side effects than any medication that had been prescribed for him. And again, this was a gentleman, I had a chance to talk to him after the meeting. But for this terrible accident, he would never have been anywhere close to cannabis. We heard from a lady from Bracken County who shared that she has 2 children with severe forms of epilepsy. Our 14-year-old son's epilepsy is drug resistant. He experiences sometimes 100 seizures a day, and he took Depakote, which has been prescribed for him, but she described that it has terrible, terrible side effects. She desperately wants access to medical cannabis for her child, and for no other reason than for treatment. We heard from a lot of veterans who have returned from Iraq and Afghanistan and other places around the world, who suffered all sorts of injuries and who still suffer from PTSD. These veterans report that cannabis provides them relief with fewer side effects and with greater efficacy than any other drug that they have been prescribed. We heard from a veteran who lives in Callaway County,
And
for
veterans in
example.
38 other states could get assistance that they
That-
can't get here.
That's exactly right. This gentleman, this former Marine from Callaway County, suffers from anxiety, suffers from PTSD from the horrific experiences that he had defending our country. And he says that he has used cannabis to help with his pain and to help him sleep. And he does that because he doesn't want to take opioids. He says that he's had friends who have died from opioid overdoses, and he doesn't want that for himself, but he also doesn't want to be labeled a criminal.
Yeah.
We heard, and this was in maybe one of the more touching stories we heard, and I'll finish very quickly. But we heard from a mom who spoke on behalf of her 20-year-old son who was with her at the meeting. This young man has gastroparesis. That's not a condition that I was familiar with, but it is a horrific condition, a life-threatening condition, incredible pain, horrific symptoms. And his only options in Kentucky are narcotics and all sort of medications, which she says really don't work very well and have tremendous side effects. The interesting thing is that before moving to Kentucky, she lived in Utah, I believe. And in Utah, she was able to access for her son medical cannabis. And she says that medical cannabis worked better for him than any other drug he's had, with fewer side effects. And that was available when they lived in Utah. And she says now that her son literally begs for cannabis because it provides him relief that he can't get otherwise. But this lady, and I mean, it was a tearful experience. She says that even though her son begs for this, she's not willing to do that because she has such respect for the law. She doesn't want to make him a criminal. And she's afraid that if she accessed cannabis to help her son, that there could be some action to separate her from her son. And I think we all thought that was a particularly touching story. So at any rate, Governor, these are just a few of the stories that we heard. There were many of them, and we're going to provide the video of all of these town hall meetings. And I know you and your team will be able to review those. But I would just say that this was a real education for me. I'm an old prosecutor, so I come at this, with willing to learn, and I did learn, but also wanted to hear facts. And we just heard all of these stories from people who absolutely, there's no question they're telling the truth. There's no question they're sincere. And the refrain we heard over and over is that we're not criminals. We're just seeking, we need help with the many times terrible disorders. And we don't want our Commonwealth to make us criminals because we need this help. And we heard that over and over. Finally, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this. And I know Ray and I both feel the same way about the committee that we served with. This is an incredibly talented group of people with everything from law enforcement to people who have advocated on this issue for years. And we'll be providing you with summaries of the interviews we did with these committee members, and I know you'll find that interesting. Thank you, Governor.
Well, I think that's going to be really helpful for us. And let me thank everybody on the committee. And I wish we had more time today in the midst of what we're dealing with in the East. I apologize that I don't, because I do appreciate your service. And we look forward to being able to come to you for additional advice, especially with some of your specialty areas, whether that's the medical or the legal or the prosecutors or so many others that are on, and also your geographic diversity, which I also think speaks volumes. This isn't a red or a blue issue, and I truly believe that. This is about people that are in need. At the same time that you all have been providing your direct input, which was really necessary, but then also hearing from folks, because honestly, our legislature isn't listening to folks. So we wanted there to be an outlet where people who wanted to could submit, could be talking to not only a part of government, but those directly involved in this issue. We've also been doing our legal research on what flexibility I'm going to have. And I believe that there is some. It's certainly not unlimited, right? We do live in a nation of laws, and so there are limitations to, I think, what our options will be. But I do believe that we're going to have some of those options. So I look forward to taking that input, to getting more, and to trying to marry it with what's in the world of the possible, but then to also be able to use the good work you have done to advocate for the changes that need to be made. So whatever steps I'm going to be able to take are not what we need our legislature to do. That would be more comprehensive. That would be more significant. But oftentimes, if you can get the ball rolling, then hopefully you can see that additional significant process. But if I can, I'll leave you with a story that hadn't left me. I'm sitting at a baseball game watching my son pitch, and this lady, after about 2 innings, comes down and sits next to me, and she says, "I'm the wife of the umpire." And first, I'm flabbergasted that the wife of an umpire would come to a middle school baseball game because of what parents like me are probably saying at the time, and would have never expected the conversation that we had to be what came next. She said, my husband is a veteran. He served his nation proudly, and because he did that, my oldest son did too. So he's been deployed 4 times to Iraq, Afghanistan. He'd been in multiple IEDs, and the last one really got him. And that medical cannabis or medical marijuana, and I really don't care how we say it, was what had provided him relief when nothing else did. And doesn't he deserve to be able to get that relief? And I looked at her and I said, yes, absolutely. At that place, from this person, for somebody who had given us so much, and listen, I know that there are so many others in pain, epilepsy, and others that also need it. Just to me, shows that what used to be used against this issue, morals, values, it should be pushing us towards doing what we can to help our fellow human being. So let me tell you, I really appreciate your service. It's not done yet. We're going to have the opportunity for much more feedback, but thank you for the report. And to Jennifer, who's on, I just wanted to let you know I was sorry to hear about your dad, and I appreciate your service, and you're a good man.
Thank you, Governor Bashir, for your remarks and for listening to the recap of our town hall meetings. Your support for Kentuckians suffering from chronic pain is commendable, and it's 38 states. It's beyond time for us to have this, and we look forward to continuing to work together on this issue.
And the one thing that I certainly hope that we'll be able to act upon is somebody who can legally get something in another state shouldn't be a criminal in ours.
Exactly.
So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Governor. So that's the adjournment is now, the meeting is now over. We appreciate everybody's time. I think that went well. The governor's very, he's on our side on this, so we appreciate everybody. Thank you.